To be honest with you, it didn't seem too difficult really to pick 4 fragrances out of my like 200 that I have to have one for each season, but I did. The ones that I have here, there are 4 different designer fragrances. I might do a separate list that's going to be only niche, but in this it's only going to be designer. By now I watched a few of these lists. I haven't really seen any that include what I have here, which is pretty surprising to me, seeing as these 4 are pretty highly revered in the fragrance community and just in general for being great fragrances for these individual seasons. And like I said, these 4 are going to be designer fragrances, not niche. That video will come, but this one's going to be here first. And I'm not sure if this video is supposed to be a tag video, but if you're watching this and you are a reviewer, consider yourself tagged. I would like to see what everyone picks for their fragrance for each season. But let's not delay it, let's go ahead and get into it. And the first season I want to talk about is going to be spring. Pretty much what we're in now, kind of going over into summer, but it's still pretty cool here. It's roughly probably, I don't know what degree it is, but it's pretty cool here. It's not really warm yet. And so the fragrance that I picked for spring is going to be one that I am currently wearing right now. Look at my shirt, you can probably guess what it is, but it's a white floral fragrance. There is some aquatic notes to it. There is a opening of grapefruit that's very uplifting. It's one that I really enjoy. And if you've been on my channel for a while, you probably get why this is going to be at this spot. It goes to Lacoste Blanc. And here we have Lacoste Blanc with top notes of grapefruit, cardamom seed, rosemary, and cedar leaf. Hard notes of tuberose, ylang-ylang, Olbananum, with base notes of atlas cedar, vetiver, leather, suede accord, and gorgy wood. And guys, I picked this for my spring scent because it reminds me of fresh flowers and kind of like we want to go get some fruit juice in spring. Spring, in my opinion, is like the refreshing season, and there's not much more in my collection that's more refreshing than this fragrance itself. This is simply a masculine, floral, fruity fragrance that I really enjoy. They did a really good job with this one in terms of making it that grapefruit and that florals without making it overly feminine. And again, you guys, that for my spring pick is going to go to Lacoste Blanc. And that's going to be a fragrance that's going to get some pretty heavy wear for me when it gets a little warmer, or it gets a little hotter, you know, upwards to 90, 95 degrees. That also is going to have a negative effect on the actual fragrance itself. Seeing as this fragrance already doesn't have the best performance in the warmer weather, or in general really, it's one that you do need to spray quite a bit for it really to last. But on my skin, I get roughly 5 to 6 hours, but in the higher heat, it's going to kind of mess with that, probably bring it down to 3 to 4 hours. And y'all, this is a really good one for when you're sweating bullets out there, y'all. It's going to be one that's going to calm you down, it's going to cool you down, it's going to make everything seem not quite as spicy outside. It's going to go to L'Homme Ultime. You know, I say that it's going to make it so not so spicy outside, but my understanding this is defined as a fresh, spicy fragrance, which it is. And here we have L'Homme Ultime with top notes of ginger, grapefruit, and cardamom, hard notes of sage, rose, and geranium, base notes of vetiver and cedarwood. The reason why I had this for summer is because it gives that refreshing punch behind it. Not like the punch that I get from the Lacoste Blanc for refreshing. This gives that, like, I just dived into a cold pool kind of punch on like a 95 degree day. It really wakes you up when you put it on. The ginger with the grapefruit is what really does that. Grapefruit in itself to me is an uplifting, fresh kind of fragrance that I really enjoy. Hence why both my spring and my summer both have notes of grapefruit in the opening. The only downside for this being in the summer is going to be the performance. It is a lackluster on that front. It's not going to last the longest amount of time, but while it does last, it's really enjoyable and it's a very heavy compliment getter. And guys, again, that's going to be L'Homme Ultime, which if you haven't already picked this up, I highly suggest you doing so. I'm still getting mixed talks on if it's been discontinued or not. I really hope that it's not. Like I've said, there are a bunch of scent memories that are attached to this with me. It's turned to fragrance that when I spray it, I go back to a certain place in time and it makes me happy when I smell it. This fragrance takes me back to that summer feeling, those summer days before I was doing what I'm doing now. This just takes me back to a time where work wasn't as serious. I was still working like I am now in terms of hours speaking, but it takes me back to a time where it was pretty easy just to kind of grab one fragrance and go and not really have to worry about what I'm tossing on. This at that time was my smart easy reach, which as you can see, it's getting quite a bit away from me. And for any of us who have a large collection, you see something like this bottle that's been tapped halfway through within a year is one that you worn pretty heavily. And again, you guys, that is L'Homme Ultime. And for my fall choice, I'm going to pick a fragrance that could very easily be worn as a signature scent. It's one from the line that is a bit darker, a bit more depth to it. Honestly, this fragrance entire line could be used as a scent for each season. Like there's one that can be used for summer, one that can be used for the winter, spring, fall. But this one right here, I feel like it's most appropriate for the fall. It's one that last fall I actually wore pretty heavily that I would honestly say that was probably one of my signature scents. And where I live here, the possibility of having to grab 4 fragrances that I can only have for each season is very real. Chances are high. Here we have a lot of hurricanes, so each year we're constantly having to evacuate. And as you can see here, I have trees all around my house. So when I evacuate, I do plan on taking 2 of these fragrances. And these 4 that I have here are going to be 4 that I'm definitely without a doubt going to be taking. I'm obviously going to try to take all of them with me, but these 4 are ones that definitely will be in my to-go bag. My pick for the fall is going to go to Acqua di Gio Profumo. With top notes of marine notes, a heart of frankincense, and a base of patchouli. Y'all, this is probably honestly the best performing fragrance that I have on this list. The reason why I have it here is because in the fall is when I picture being around my family the most, and I want to bring something that's not going to be offensive to anybody that I'm going to be around. It's something that can be enjoyed by everybody. And the patchouli in this fragrance gives a slight mature kind of scent to it. It's not something that's going to be overly youthful. There's not that pulling in compliment factor in that sense. But again, guys, this is one of the most complimented fragrances that I have in my collection. I'm not sure what does it. I think it's the frankincense with the marine notes that kind of give it that different vibe while still having the Acqua di Gio-ness to it. The original, which as you guys are well aware is the top selling mint fragrance of all time. But this has a bit more oomph to it, and it just makes it more enjoyable for me to wear. And like I said, in the fall is when I picture myself being around my family, and this being a real go-to. And again, you guys, that was Acqua di Gio Profumo. So my winter pick was not the easiest one for me to pick. There's definitely one that I had to weigh out, the options there. I have my honey tobacco fragrances. I have my heavier oomph fragrances that have more depth to it. But then again, I'm realizing that I'm talking about only the designer here. So there's not very many that I could pick from. I'm not the biggest fan of Iris. That kind of cut back on some. I'm not the biggest fan of the over masculine fragrances. So that cut it back even a little bit further. Then I was stuck with pretty much just two. And then it came down to the availability of these fragrances. One's a lot more available than the other one. One you can just go to pretty much any department store, pick it up year round. And the other one is one that it's seasonal from my understanding, because I've tried going to the stores picking it up. And with that one, there's a cherry note that's there that's just, in terms of it being the winter pick, something that I would wear every day in winter, it's not one that I would go with over the one that I'm picking right now. My pick for my winter choice would go to Dolce & Gabbana, the one EDP. And with top notes of grapefruit, coriander, and basil, hard notes of orange blossom, ginger, and cardamom, base notes of tobacco, amber, and cedarwood. So, as it turns out, I like fragrances that have grapefruit in them. Who knew? But again, guys, this is a great one for the winter. Now, this fragrance is a bit synthetic in the opening to me. The dry down is what shines. It's just pretty close to the skin. The tobacco cardamom blend in this is done really, really nice. And I picked this over Pure Hervane simply for the fact of the cherry note that's in Pure Hervane. I can't see myself wearing that every day just because of that. But this, on the other hand, easily worn every day during the winter, that is. Yeah, and again, you guys, that pick was Dolce & Gabbana, the one EDP. And honestly, the EDT could have been in this place too, but this one is a bit darker, it's a bit more rich, a bit more appropriate for the winter and for the nights. Honestly, in the daytime of the winter, I could honestly go with Dolce & Gabbana, the one EDT, and have the EDP be the nighttime scent. But here, we're only allowed to pick 4, so yeah, that was my 4 for one for each season. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm about to head inside, change up. I have to go work my shift from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I've not worked as a floor tech in a hot minute, but that's what I have to do tonight. So I'm gonna try to find a fragrance that I can wear that's not gonna be overly offensive for the hospital floor. Thinking something like my spring pick. This is just uplifting enough that I think that it's gonna be nice for me. It's just close enough to the skin that it's gonna be okay for in the hospital. My L'Homme Ultra might be a bit too sharp, but it would last half my shift. I might bring them both with me and on my lunch break refresh with this, but I don't think I'm gonna go with this one first. Or I could wear my Acqua di Gio Profumo, and that might be a bit too loud because from my understanding I'm going to be with a one-on-one, so I have to go sit with somebody for the entire night. I'm not sure if they want to be smelling my fragrance for 12 hours, even though the chances are that they're going to be asleep, but still I don't want to wake them up, and I don't want to take my Dolce & Gabbana, the one EP. I could. It's a bit too warm for it out right now for this one, I think. But then again, I'm going to be inside. Tough decision here, guys. Definitely going to go with this guy. It's going to be my scent of the night. I swear, I put this one on more on camera than I do with any of my fragrances. It's just... But guys, that is that. I hope you've enjoyed this list. And like I always say, keep it gent and love your scent. And I'll see you all next time. Tomorrow, whatever. Next time, tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow. Yeah.